What's going on, everybody? My name is Monatui, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm going to be going over our Week 11 team builder for the PPL Division 2. If you guys don't know what the PPL is, please check out the description below. There will be a link to the PPL YouTube and Twitter. Again, please check them out, as well as a link to my opponent's channel. This week we're going up against Travesty, coach of the North Melbourne Kangaskhans. If you guys didn't know, this is the final team builder for PPL D2 Season 1. This is Week 11. This is where all of our hard work is going to pay off. This is the match that decides whether or not we have a shot into getting D1. This sole match is the most important, the absolute most important. We win, and there's no other way to work around it. We win, we're in D1. If we win, we're third place, potentially second place. If we lose, we are knocked out of the potential promotion race. So, real quickly, I'm going to go over his team. He has Mega Sableye, Togekiss, a very good cord, Goodra, Nidoqueen, Darmanitan, Celebi, Cobalion, and Lantern. This is a very, very solid team. Trav is a very good battler, and he knows how to work this team very well. Goodra is one of the few things that can really kind of deal with Manaphy. Even a +3 Ice Beam only does about 50%. Mega Sableye is just a super huge annoyance. Togekiss, again, very big annoyance. Cobalion is a huge threat. Could be set up, could be utility with like Volt Switch and Stealth Rocks. Lantern is an immunity and a beautiful switch into my Heliolisk. Celebi can also be an annoyance. It can T-Wave things, it can Leech Seed things. It can also be set up, Sword Dance, Nasty Plot, could run Sucker Punch, Giga Drain, etc. Nidoqueen is something that is basically impossible to switch into. His team is extremely good. And compared this team with a good battler such as Trav, we're going to have a very hard time. Now, real quick, just to kind of reiterate what I said earlier, I'm going to go to the league table. I should have done this earlier, but right here. We have Troy on top. He is guaranteed the playoffs, or he is guaranteed promotion into D1. Troy, Kelly, if he wins, is also guaranteed promotion. If Kelly loses and we win, then we have a chance to go to, well, no, we actually move up to number 2. If Trav wins, if Trav beats me, Trav is at number 3, unless Chi wins by enough and Trav wins by too little. Basically, if Trav wins 1-0 and then Chi wins 4-0, then he is put into the number 3 spot. However, I'm not going to let that happen. We are going to do our absolute best in order to win. And this team I put a lot of thought into. We're doing this battle a little bit earlier because Trav, I believe, is going on vacation or is taking some school trip. I'm not entirely sure. But Trav is leaving a little bit early, so we're having the match a little bit early, but that's totally fine. I have this thing totally prepped out as much as I need to. The match will be on Showdown, unfortunately, and I believe at this point in time, replays are down. We're having the match a little bit later today. The replays are down, so it may be a little bit fuzzy, kind of like the match against Ruby, but I'll do my best to avoid that. I'll make sure to not like click on to Skype or anything while the match is going on. But basically, the team I built is, I think, a team that he's not going to be expecting. And I'll explain why in a little bit. But for now, let's get into the final team that we're bringing this season. Unless we are, of course, make it to third place and have to play a playoff. But for the last match of the regular season, here we go. Starting off with Manaphy. Classic, good old Tail Glow set, 3 attacks, Scald, Ice Beam, Energy Ball. Scald, basically just the spread burns. I wanted to run Signal Beam to hit the Celebi, quad super effective, but I needed Ice Beam for the Togekiss and the Goodra as well. Basically, Scald is just the spread status. Energy Ball is specifically for the Lantern. +3 does about 80%, and Lantern is relatively weak, so it will not be able to knock me out. And it does not have its own form of recovery, so that's good. Even a burn is nice on that thing. The spread I'm running is so that I can, it's similar to last week where it's kind of like weird, it's kind of physically defensive, but it's also speedy and kind of specially offensive. I take on the Darmanitan as best as possible, I take on the Cobalion as best as possible, I deal with any form of Goodra as best as possible, whether it's running like Thunderbolt or Power Whip, things like that. This is just the best spread I think I can run. The move coverage I really wanted to go defensive. I would have gone defensive with Combine Rain Dance if he did not have Celebi, but unfortunately I can't really do that because of that Celebi. Even if I burn it, it has Natural Cure. It can set up an SD and deal with me regardless. Can set up nasty plots, etc. So Manaphy does not really beat it all that well. This much speed allows me to outspeed, what am I trying to outspeed? I'm outspeeding something. Alright, oh, okay, so, the speed tier that I'm running. This is so that I can outspeed a Jolly Darmanitan trying to speed creep my Excadrill, if that makes sense. Like, suppose I bring Jolly Max Speed Excadrill, and he brings, like, a banded Darmanitan. I think he's going to bring Scarf, but not entirely sure. Suppose he brings, like, a non-Scarfed Darmanitan. This will outspeed it if he's speed creeping my Excadrill. Will not outspeed complete max speed Darmanitan, but regardless, it should do well, even if it is max speed and I lose the speed tie because of it, or I lose, or if he's faster, I still take hits from it relatively well, can hit it back with Scald. Alright, so that is the Manaphy. Pretty big win condition, I would say. If his Celebi's gone, it honestly does a ton of work to his team. Celebi and Lantern. So we have that. Next up, another pretty, not super interesting set, but a set that I hope I can pull off relatively well is my Mega Aerodactyl. I am running enough speed to outspeed Scarf base 80s, so like in case he brings Scarf Togekiss, in case he brings Scarf Goodra, that's kind of weird, but in case he does it. So basically, I originally had this to outspeed an Adamant Scarf Darmanitan, but there's no way he's bringing Adamant because I have a Jolly Excadrill, or I can bring a Jolly Excadrill, so I really doubt he's bringing Adamant. Stone Edge, Aerial Ace, Earthquake, and then Substitute. The 3 attacking moves, that's so I can hit his team as best as I can. Togekiss, Darmanitan, Celebi, Cobalion, Lantern. Pretty much everything is hit super effectively, other than the Mega Sableye, which I can't hit super effectively because I have no Fairy move. Also the Goodra, but Goodra should be 2 KO'd by Stone Edge anyway, unless it's physically defensive. I'm running Substitute because I can sub up on a potential Will-O-Wisp from Mega Sableye. His Togekiss I can't knock out in one hit, and that's a free substitute for me. I can set up a sub on Togekiss as it goes for a potential T-Wave, and then continue to just hit things hard from there. Air Slash will not break my sub. Dazzling Gleam will, but I'm not entirely sure if he will because I don't have a Dark type on my team. I don't really have anything that's weak to Fairy on my team other than the Hariyama. I can set up on Darmanitan because he's not going to want to stay in unless he is like Adamant Rock Slide, which can be kind of weird. He may not stay in with Celebi. Celebi, again, can take a hit because it is very bulky. However, he may switch out and he may go for something like the T-Wave or the Leech Seed in order to try and wear me down, whereas I can dodge that and then kill it with 2 Aerial Aces. Cobalion, I can hit with the Earthquake, and Lantern is just kind of there. Cobalion, maybe if I predict a T-Wave, but I probably won't. So yeah, that is why we're running this Mega Aerodactyl set. I hit his team very hard, and Substitute can potentially protect myself from getting burnt or paralyzed by certain things, so that's why I have that. Next up, I need something that can deal with the Celebi very well. Whoops. I need something that can deal with the Celebi very well. I need a safe switch into that Mega Sableye, even though it could carry knockoff. I just kind of want a bulky pivot, and one of my favorite bulky pivots, well, like one of the 2 on my team, is Cupid, the Togetic. I'm running a specially defensive variant this week. This way I can take on pretty much any form of Sableye, any form of Togekiss, any form of Goodra. I am not 2 KO'd by Sludge Wave. I can take any hit from Nidoqueen. Darmanitan I can still take a hit from. Celebi can't touch me, and I can take hits relatively well from Lantern. I can't really touch these things back. However, the point of Cupid is not really to damage things. I have Dazzling Gleam just so I can kind of get a little bit of damage off on the Goodra, a little bit on the Mega Sableye. I wanted to run Seismic Toss, but then I literally can't touch Mega Sableye. Also, Dazzling Gleam can potentially break this thing's sub, so there's that. Should I run Fire Blast? I may actually run Fire Blast. Nah, I'm not going to run Fire Blast. Basically, this thing's job is to take a hit and then get a slow baton pass out. Something else you'll probably notice. I have absolutely 0 speed invested in this thing. Hang on, let me fix this. Relaxed? No, it's, what is the plus Spadef minus speed? You know what, I'm just going to do this. Boop. And then, yeah, that. Sassy, that's right, duh. Sassy nature, 0 speed IVs. With this much minimum speed, I actually speed tie with Mega Sableye. I can't outslow it, unfortunately. I tried, doesn't work. I can only hit this speed. I speed tie with Mega Sableye. Being able to take like a Will-O-Wisp from Mega Sableye and then safely switch out into something else could be huge. You know, I would rather this thing burned than have my Manaphy burned. I would rather, even though I am running Heal Bell, I would rather like this thing burned, and this thing burned. If he's at 50%, I can switch into my Excadrill after taking a Will-O-Wisp on my Togetic, and I'll explain why in a bit. I'm also guaranteed to outslow him first turn, just because Sableye naturally outspeeds me, before it Mega Evolves. So that's why I'm going with this. I'm running Wish Protect because I don't necessarily, I'm running Wish Baton Pass because there are plenty of things I can Wish up against. Actually, honestly, almost anything. I can Wish up against the Goodra, can't detail me out. Wish up against the Mega Sableye, Wish up against the Togekiss, can Wish up against the Celebi potentially, and even the Lantern, because Lantern again is weak, I'm specially defensive, I'm bulky as hell. I will not be taking too much damage from Thunderbolts from that thing, unless it's some Specs variant, and even then, Heliolisk is a relatively safe switch in. I honestly am not even sure if he's going to bring Lantern, because I do have a lot of things to deal with it, but it is a possibility. Next up, we are going to go over, real quick, running Heal Bell, because he has a lot of status spreaders, like I kind of mentioned earlier. Celebi with T-Wave, Cobalion with T-Wave, Sableye with the Will-O-Wisp. He's got a lot of status spreaders. I want to be able to avoid that at all costs, so that's why I'm running Heal Bell. Next up, we're going to be going over a very interesting set, Heliolisk. Now, I'm not running Volt Switch on this thing. I'm running U-Turn instead. This is because he has 2 dangerous electric immunity. Well, one primarily dangerous electric immunity, and the other an annoying electric immunity. If I give Lantern its health back, that means I may not be able to KO it with other things later on, and I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I get my initiative off that thing. Nidoqueen, if he blocks an electric type move and I'm choiced into that and I have to switch out, that's an issue, because Nidoqueen is just strong as hell. It could even be running Life Orb Crunch for this thing. Sorry, I spoiled that a little bit, but I'll get into that in a minute. Could have Life Orb Crunch for this thing, Poison Jab, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, etc. Earth Power, obviously, so it's a very big threat to my team. So I don't want to be just having my momentum stopped and then allowing that thing to get a big hit off something. I want to be able to U-turn out on that. Also, it does a decent amount of damage to Celebi, not great, but it does like 33% to Celebi. Which allows me to kill with an X-Scissor from my Excadrill, which I will go into in a bit. So we have that. Thunderbolt and Surf. Surf is so that I can hit the, I can hit the Nidoqueen, I can hit the Darmanitan pretty hard. Thunderbolt for the Togekiss, it breaks potential sub from Cobalion, does some damage to Mega Sableye, basically a standard electric move. Was debating Volt Switch, but decided to just go with more power in Thunderbolt. And then Surf, like I said, Nidoqueen, Darmanitan, just to do a little bit more damage with them. Surf onto a Darmanitan actually should kill after Stealth Rocks, as long as it's not running too much bulk, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, this is Heliolisk. It's a relatively safe switch into things like the Lantern, because I'm immune to the Scald and Volt Switch will do nothing. I can kind of safely switch into Celebi, honestly, because again, I take special hits well. Even an Earth Power will not one-shot me. Also, Choice Scarf. I outspeed everything on his team, even if he decides to bring Choice Scarf Cobalion, which sounds weird, but actually kind of makes sense against my team. I could bring Scarfed Excadrill. I could bring my Heliolisk, which I am. It outspeeds my Aerodactyl, can hit me with an Iron Head. It's not a terrible option, and I'm kind of afraid of maybe a Rock Polish set, but maybe even a Magnetic Rise set, but again, this is just to prevent any sort of thing like that happening. May not work out because he may not bring a Scarf one and I'm wasting a little bit of bulk, but it's fine. Heliolisk isn't really meant to be super bulky. It's meant to switch into things it can take hits from, and then whatever it can't, just U-turn out. So that is Heliolisk. Also, relatively safe switch into the Togekiss. If it does not have Aura Sphere, Fire Blast is not a 2 KO either. If it doesn't have Aura Sphere, then it switches into T-Wave, takes Air Slashes, no problem. So pretty much just the best option for me. If he brings like Hustle Kiss with Drain Punch, then I might just forfeit at that point, because that's legendary. but because I don't think he's going to do that, this is probably a relatively safe switch into it. Now, we're getting down to the last two Pokemon. Mega Sableye is still an issue. Togetic does very little with Dazzling Gleam. Manaphy can set up on it and hit it very hard and pretty much beat it, but that is just one thing to deal with it, and one thing that's a very big annoyance. It takes hits from Mega Aerodactyl very well. If it has Foul Play, it can break a sub. So I kind of need a couple ways to deal with that, and it doesn't look like these two would. Physical Attacker and a bulky Psychic with 75 base attacks. However, this Uxie is a pretty big key to victory, and I'm just going to show you why. Skill Swap means that I can get rid of the Mega Sableye's Magic Bounce. If he goes for a Will-O-Wisp or a Toxic onto me after Mega Evolving, and I Skill Swap him, he will gain the ability to Levitate, which could be an issue, but he'll gain the ability to Levitate, and he will inflict the status on himself. I'm not running Stealth Rocks this week, spoiler alert, just because I need Toxic and I need the U-turn. I don't want to go with no attacking moves. I was thinking Stealth Rocks over U-turn. I was thinking even Yawn over U-turn, but I need the U-turn. I need that initiative. So Skill Swap is there specifically for the Mega Sableye, because I can Skill Swap it. Even if he knocks me off, I can take it, and then I can hit him with a Toxic afterwards. Meaning that he will be worn down, and my team will have a lot better of a time dealing with it. If it does not have Foul Play, a Mega Aerodactyl can set up a sub, can take a knockoff, hit it, and eventually stall it out because it is poisoned. And if he's forced to switch out eventually, then that's good because he doesn't have too many safe switch-ins into my Mega Aerodactyl. Toxic, like I said, hit the Mega Sableye, also to potentially wear down the Togekiss, the Goodra, pretty much anything else that wants to come in. The Celebi I can Toxic and then U-turn out on. Of course, it has Natural Cure, but not a big issue. Lantern, etc. Now, I can't touch the Cobalion, so if it is like a sub-SD variant, that would be kind of bad, because my team doesn't deal with it super well, but Manaphy can take 2 hits. 2 close combats it can definitely take. So there's that. Also, I'm sure you see the last move on there. This is going to be paired with our Excadrill. Sandstorm Uxie with the Smooth Rock, because I'm setting up the Sandstorm for my Excadrill. This is a big win. This is probably the biggest win condition, just like it was last week. Sandsweeper, Life Orb, Excadrill. I'm going to double check my speed tier to make sure I am not outsped by a max speed modest Nidoqueen, because I don't want that to happen before the sand. However, this one-hit KOs or 2-hit KOs everything on his team, and almost 1-hit KOs everything. I have a calc up here. Fully physically defensive Mega Sableye, 2-hit KO'd by Adamant Life Orb EQ. Basically 2-hit KO. That's pretty much a guaranteed chance right there. Let's go over something like Goodra. Goodra Assault Vest. Let's give it worst case scenario, physically defensive, bold, still an easy 2-hit KO. Let's say something like Lantern. Lantern's bulky, of course it's super effective, but it can probably take 1, right? Right? No, it cannot. It absolutely cannot take 1. It goes down. Even if it's Shuka Berry, it's not going to have recovery, and I'll make sure to wear it down, confirm its item beforehand, but this is a very, very hefty amount of damage. So much damage that it dies, so that's pretty sweet. Let's see, what else is bulky on his team? Celebi. Let's go over Celebi. Not Celebi. Celebi. Oh, you support. We'll go with the spread, sure. Can take my other hits pretty well. Earthquake, Iron Head doesn't do too much damage, but we are running X-Scissor. X-Scissor, if he's the standard support set, one-shots. Even worst case scenario, fully physically defensive, has a good chance to one-shot. That's awesome, because, wow, that just, look at that, that kills. That has a 75% chance to OHKO if he's max physical defense. If he's not max physical defense, then my Manaphy hits it with Ice Beam even harder. So that is really good. This thing absolutely destroys his team. And the best part about this is I don't think he's going to expect a Sand Rush Excadrill. Because Excadrill gets access to Mold Breaker, as I've used almost every week, I think he's going to be expecting me to be a Mold Breaker Excadrill, that way I can get up Stealth Rocks versus his Mega Sableye, but I'm not. Instead, I'm just going to be hitting things as hard as I possibly can. Also, the spread I'm running, I'm going to check later, but this spread This spread allows me to outspeed a jolly scarfed Cabalion, which is the fastest thing on his team. And yeah, that is basically the team builder. Again, this match, without a question, the most important this season. We win, then we're in. If we don't, then it was a good season, and we're going to spend another one in D2, because I would absolutely love to come back to the PPL for the next season. But that is about it. Hope you guys enjoyed. I guess I didn't go over this. Sandstorm, just a second way to get up sand in case Uxie is gone. He may think that after Uxie's gone, my sand possibilities are gone, but I am running Sandstorm because I don't need the other coverage. And I don't feel like running Stealth Rocks. I would rather just get the sand up for myself. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you're rooting for us, because this is a big one. And we might need, not that we might need luck, but I think this is going to be a good battle. And I know Trav's going to be fighting as hard as he possibly can, because this is the one that matters the most for him and for me. So Trav, we're battling in a couple hours. Obviously, by the time you see this, you'll be in the future. But battling in a couple hours, good luck, and may the best man win. May the best man get promoted. So have a nice day, everyone, and I'll see you next time.